Reddit. I've been lurking on this sub for years, always reading other people's stories, shaking my head and thinking, damn, I'd never let that happen to me. Well, here I am, typing this with hands that won't stop shaking, and a heart that feels like it's been punched through my ribs. I have been married to my wife, Ashley, for 6 years. We've been together for almost a decade. Since our mid-20s, we met through mutual friends at a summer barbecue, and everything just clicked. Or at least it felt like it did. She was smart, funny, sharp-tongued in a way I used to find charming, and always the loudest voice in the room. I admired her confidence. Looking back, maybe I mistook arrogance for confidence, but hindsight's always the clearest lens, isn't it? Anyway, our marriage wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad either. We had some fights like any couple, usually about small stuff. Her spending habits, her constantly being on her phone, her tendency to steamroll conversations and make everything about her. But nothing I thought was marriage ending. I thought that's just how long-term relationships went. You learn to live with quirks. The first crack started about 4 months ago. It was subtle. She started staying late at work more often, not crazy suspicious at first. She's a corporate project manager for a mid-sized tech firm, so late nights during deadlines weren't new. But this time it was frequent, like 3 or 4 nights a week. Always some vague presentation prep or client debrief that I never got any real detail about. And then there was her phone. I don't snoop, never have. But she suddenly started keeping it on silent, face down, or taking it everywhere with her, even into the bathroom. And she started texting a lot. Like, a lot. She'd say it was her friend Kara or her sister, and I didn't question it at first. But something about the way she'd smirk when she got certain messages, it made my stomach twist. I asked her once, jokingly, if she was planning a surprise or something. She laughed in that high-pitched, dismissive way she does when she's annoyed, and said, God, you're so paranoid. Not everything is about you. That line stuck with me. Not everything is about you. I brushed it off. Told myself I was being stupid, that I was overthinking because work had been stressful for me and I was projecting. But I couldn't shake the feeling. There was a growing emotional distance between us. Conversations were shorter. Intimacy was rare. And when it happened, it felt like mechanical, like checking a box. I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous husband, but something in me had started whispering, something's wrong, something's off. That whisper would soon start screaming.
So after that not everything is about you jab, I started paying more attention. Not snooping. Not yet. Just watching. Listening. And suddenly, a lot of small things started standing out. For starters, she started dressing differently. Not just nicer, but sexier. Tighter skirts, more makeup, heels, even on days she claimed she was just staying at the office late. Ashley has never been the type to glam up unless we were going out somewhere nice. But suddenly, she looked like she was walking onto a red carpet just to go send emails. When I commented on it, half joking, she snapped that, so I'm not allowed to look nice now? Jesus, just say I look good and shut up. Okay, weird, but fine. Then there were the calls. A few times, I'd walk into the room and she'd be on the phone, laughing at a voice I hadn't heard in months. But the second she saw me, her smile would drop, and she'd suddenly be talking about quarterly projections or staffing schedules. Her work doesn't even deal with quarterly projections. One night, I overheard her talking softly in the kitchen, thinking I was asleep. I crept halfway down the stairs. She was saying, No, I miss you too. I know I hate leaving like that. You still up? I'll text you later. I froze. She hung up before I could hear more. When I asked who she was talking to, she gave me that tired, bored look and said, Kara, her dog died. You really think I'm sneaking around at midnight talking to a guy? Grow up. Kara doesn't have a dog. She's allergic. That was the first moment I truly knew something was going on. But still, and I kind of hate myself for this now, I let it go. I convinced myself I was just being paranoid, that I was reading too much into it. We had a vacation planned to Charleston in a few weeks, and I thought maybe the time away would help us reconnect. Spoiler, we never made it to Charleston. Because 2 days later, I saw a text pop up on her phone while she was in the shower. Normally her phone was locked, Face ID only. But this time, it lit up and the preview flashed across the screen. Last night was incredible. I still smell you on me. Can't stop thinking about you. from someone saved as A. My stomach dropped. I didn't even touch the phone, didn't have to. My hands started shaking, my mouth went dry, and my ears were ringing. I just stood there staring at it until the screen dimmed again. She came out of the shower, saw me looking at the phone, and immediately went cold. She didn't say anything, just grabbed it, dried her hands, and walked out of the room like nothing happened. I slept on the couch that night. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted proof. I needed it, something undeniable. Because I knew Ashley. She was a manipulator, a liar if she had to be. And if I came at her without something concrete, she'd gaslight me into the dirt. So I made a decision. The next day, I took the day off work, told her I had a big client meeting. Man, I followed her.
So yeah, I followed her. It felt insane, like something out of a bad movie. Me in my car, parked down the street, hoodie on, sunglasses like I was in a damn spy thriller. My hands were sweaty on the wheel the entire time. I kept thinking, what if I'm wrong? What if this is just me being insecure? But then I remember that text, I still smell you on me, and all those late work nights suddenly had a new stink to them. She left the house around 8:20 a.m., dressed up in her power look, pencil skirt, blazer, heels, full makeup. She kissed me on the cheek on her way out and said, "Don't wait up tonight. I've got back-to-back meetings." Sure you do, Ashley. I gave it a few minutes and followed her. She took the usual route toward her office, but then something changed. About 15 minutes in, she made a random turn off the main road, not toward the tech campus, toward the west side, residential, suburbs. I kept a couple cars behind her, heart pounding. I couldn't breathe. She pulled into a driveway, 2-story house, tan siding, blue shutters, no company sign, definitely not an office. Then I saw him. Some tall, gym-built dude, maybe late 30s, came out the front door barefoot in joggers and a white t-shirt. He grinned when he saw her, leaned in, and kissed her. Not a quick peck, not a friendly hug. A full-on kiss. Hands on his waist, her hands in his hair, like they'd done it 100 times before. I sat in my car across the street, completely frozen. My face felt numb, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there, staring as she laughed and walked inside with him. I closed the door. She didn't come back out for 3 hours. I didn't move. I didn't eat. I didn't blink. When she finally left, hair a little messier, lipstick gone, she practically skipped back to her car. She drove back to her work. I didn't go home. I drove to a park nearby and just sat there for hours. I stared at the trees, at my hands, at the dashboard. I couldn't make my brain process what I seen. I didn't even feel rage yet, just this heavy, weight in my chest like someone had dropped a brick into me. Everything I thought I knew about her, about us, started unraveling. I kept thinking, she kissed me goodbye this morning and then kissed him 30 minutes later like it was nothing. I finally went home around 4 p.m. She came back late that night, like she said she would, tossed her keys on the counter, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "God, today was exhausting. You ever have a day where you just want to scream?" I didn't answer, just nodded, and said, "Yeah, I know the feeling." She had no idea I knew, but I had a plan now. I gave it 3 days, 3 long days, and in that time I acted normal. Painfully normal. I kissed her goodbye, I asked how her meetings went, and I smiled when she bitched about traffic. Meanwhile, I was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night, replaying that moment over and over in my head, her laughing, kissing him, disappearing into his house like it was her second home. But I needed the right moment. I didn't want to blow up in a rage. I wanted answers, real ones. I wanted her to lie to my face. I needed to hear it. So I waited until Sunday morning. We usually have this lazy routine, coffee, pancakes, no alarms. Her guard would be down. And it was. She was scrolling her phone at the kitchen table, wearing one of my old t-shirts like everything was fine, humming some pop song under her breath. I poured my coffee, sat across from her, and said, "So, it was the Ben on the west side." She froze. I've never seen a human being glitch before, but she did. Her eyes darted up like I'd slapped her. "What?" I sipped my coffee. "The house, Tan siding, blue shutters. You were there Thursday morning, 3 hours. He kissed him on the porch. She just stared, mouth slightly open, fingers frozen on her phone screen. I could see the calculations running behind her eyes. How much did I know? How much could she spin? Then, in the most insulting voice I've ever heard, she laughed. Oh my God, you followed me? That's insane! Are you hearing yourself? Answer the question. I don't have to explain myself when you're acting like a stalker. That's when the rage finally cracked through. Not yelling. I didn't even raise my voice, but my hand clenched around the mug so hard I thought it might shatter. I saw you, kissing him, going inside. You lied to my face. So tell me the truth, Ashley. Who is he? She stood up suddenly, defensive as hell. You know what? Fine. You want honesty? He's someone who actually listens to me. Someone who treats me like I matter, not like a roommate, not like a side character in your boring little routine. That hit harder than I expected. I just stared at her. So, you've been sleeping with him? Silence. Then a shrug. It's not that simple. I laughed. I actually laughed. Really, because it looked pretty simple when his hands were all over your ass. She turned red with anger, not shame. You don't get to judge me when you checked out years ago. I blinked. Excuse me? Yeah, you stopped trying. You stopped making me feel special. You just wanted your quiet little life, your routines, your Netflix and chill, and I wanted more. So your solution was to hook up with someone else. She folded her arms. At least he makes me feel wanted. And there it was, that cold, detached tone, like I was the one who had failed her, like I had driven her into another man's bed. Not once did she apologize. Not once did she say, I'm sorry, I hurt you. Just deflection, blame, arrogance. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stood up, grabbed my keys, and said, you can sleep at his place tonight. She didn't follow me out the door.
I drove around for hours. No destination, just my hands gripping the wheel like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. I kept seeing her face, that smug, unbothered look when she said, at least he makes me feel wanted, like I was the villain in her story. I ended up in a Walmart parking lot. I don't even know why. I just parked, sat there with the engine running, and stared at the blue sign glowing in the dark. I must have sat there for 2 hours before I texted my buddy Drew. Need a couch tonight. Ashley cheated. He didn't even ask questions, just dropped the address and said, come over. When I showed up, I think I looked like hell. Drew didn't say anything, just opened the door and pulled me into one of those silent guy hugs, the kind that says, I got you, man. His girlfriend brought me a beer and didn't ask a single question, bless her. That night, I finally cried. Like really cried. Couldn't hold it in anymore. Just this gut-level, shaking kind of grief that hit me like a freight train. I felt humiliated, disrespected, discarded. I wasn't mourning just the cheating. I was mourning the illusion. The version of her I thought I knew. The marriage I thought we had. The life I built around a lie. The next morning, I went back home. Not to reconcile. I wanted answers. Closure. Or maybe I just wanted to see if she would regret anything. She was on the couch, eating cereal and watching reality TV like nothing had happened. Oh, she said when I walked in. I figured you needed to cool off. No apology, no concern, just that same tone like I was the dramatic one for caring that she'd been screwing another man. I sat across from her. So how long has it been going on? She didn't even look away from the screen. A couple months. Is it serious? I don't know. Maybe. He makes me feel alive. Not like I'm stuck in some dead routine every day. I just stared at her. The woman I married. The woman who used to laugh at my dumb jokes and cry at Pixar movies. Now she was just cold. Like all the warmth had been turned off. Like I was sitting across from a stranger who had stolen her face. I asked her one more question. Why didn't you just leave me? And I swear to God, this is what she said. Because I liked having both. Just like that. No remorse, no shame. She liked the comfort of home and the thrill of sneaking around. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was a backup plan, a safety net, a placeholder between the moments of pleasure. I didn't say another word. I packed a bag, told her I'd be staying with Drew, and I said, very calmly, When I come back, I'll be filing for a divorce." She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just rolled her eyes and said, "You're being dramatic." No, I was finally being done.
After I left that house, our house, I went straight back to Drew's, walked in, dropped my bag, sat down and told him everything, every detail, from the moment I followed her to the house to the cereal-eating sociopath she was when I asked why she cheated. He just kept shaking his head, muttering, "Dude, holy shit," like he couldn't believe it. Once I'd said it all out loud, the next step became obvious. I had to start telling people. Not just because I needed support, but because I knew her. She was going to twist this, lie, cry victim, maybe even try to make it sound like I was some emotionally distant, boring husband who forced her to cheat. So I got ahead of it. First was my parents. I called my mom. She always loved Ashley. Thought she was sharp and ambitious. Read, liked that she was loud and bossy because she mistook it for leadership. I kept it simple. "Mom, Ashley's been cheating on me. I'm filing for divorce." Silence. And, oh my God. Then tears, anger, a tidal wave of, "Why would she do that? You were good to her, and that girl never deserved you." Dad was more stoic, just said, "You did the right thing, son." And that was enough. Then came her parents. I debated whether to say anything at all, but they were going to find out eventually, and part of me wanted to see if she'd lied to them too. So I called her mom, calmly told her everything. No yelling, no dramatics. She sighed. "I wish I could say I'm surprised." "What?" Apparently, Ashley has a history. In college, she cheated on a long-term boyfriend. And her first job out of school, she had an emotional affair with her boss. Her mom had always hoped she'd grow out of it. Spoiler alert, she didn't. I also texted a few close mutual friends, told them I'd moved out, that Ashley had been unfaithful, and I was starting the divorce process. No bad-mouthing, just the facts. Most were shocked. A few weren't. One friend, Lisa, called me in tears and admitted that she'd seen Ashley with that guy at a restaurant a few weeks back, but didn't say anything because she wasn't sure. So yeah, it was happening in plain sight. But the real kicker, Ashley beat me to posting on social media. The day after I left, she posted a picture of herself on Instagram holding a mimosa, all dolled up, with the caption, "New beginnings, no regrets." No regrets. The comments were full of her friends hyping her up. "Yes, queen, do you. Fresh start energy." Meanwhile, I was sitting on my buddy's couch eating cold pizza and trying to figure out how the hell my life got hijacked by someone with the emotional maturity of a teenager. She hadn't told anyone why we split, just played the empowered woman starting over angle. But I kept receipts, screenshots, dates, that one text from her lover, saved it, just in case she ever tries to throw dirt on my name. Honestly, I felt a tiny bit better watching her scramble to control the narrative, because deep down, I knew something she didn't. The truth always outlasts the performance.
So, once the shock wore off and the logistics were moving, telling people, staying at Drew's, planning the divorce, the real stuff hit me. The emotional freefall. I won't sugarcoat it. I broke down a lot. And not in big, dramatic movie scenes. It was quiet, random, ugly. Brushing my teeth at Drew's one morning and suddenly choking on nothing because her toothbrush wasn't next to mine anymore. Breaking down in the frozen food aisle because I saw her favorite ice cream and instinctively reached for it before remembering she didn't live in my life anymore. Or rather, I didn't live in hers. Nights were the worst. The silence, the mental replays, the what-ifs. I kept wondering, was she thinking about me when we were in bed? Did she laugh at me with him? How long had she checked out before she started cheating? Did I miss signs for months, years? And then came the self-hate, that slow, corrosive inner voice that whispered, maybe you weren't enough. Maybe you got too comfortable. Maybe if you'd taken her out more, texted her more at work, initiated more, maybe this is what you deserve. I didn't even realize how much of my identity had been tied to husband, to her. It was like someone had yanked the floor out from under me, and I was falling through memories, anniversaries, vacations, dumb inside jokes. All of them poisoned now, tainted, every one of them recontextualized through the lens of betrayal. Even the good ones felt like lies. And the future? Gone. The plans we made, the maybe next year trips, the savings account we were building for a house, all of it felt pointless now. I'd wake up and for 5 seconds everything was normal, and then I'd remember, and it would hit me like a brick to the chest. There was also rage, deep, shaking, red-hot rage. At her, yes, for lying, for using me, for being so smug about it, but also at myself, for trusting her, for ignoring red flags, for loving her so much I couldn't see who she really was. There were days I wanted to scream, punch something, burn every photo, smash her wine glasses just because she loved them so much, but I didn't. I sat with it. I let the pain in. And slowly, something started to shift. Because once you hit the bottom, the real bottom, there's nowhere left to go but up. I wasn't there yet, not by a long shot, but I'd started looking up.
About a week after I left, I reached out to a divorce attorney. It felt weird, like official. I sat in the waiting room, surrounded by old magazines and fake smiles from the receptionist, while this dull throb pulsed in my chest. I wasn't just separated anymore. This wasn't a fight we could walk back from. This was the death certificate for our marriage. The attorney was blunt but kind. He asked if there was infidelity. I told him yes, showed him the screenshot of the text, gave him the guy's address. He nodded, like he'd seen it 1,000 times, which, honestly, he probably had. Then came the questions. Do you own property together? Joint bank accounts? Any children? Thank God, no. Do you want to pursue fault-based divorce on grounds of adultery? Hell yes. I had no intention of dragging it out, but I wanted the record to reflect the truth. I wasn't blowing up my life for no reason. She cheated. She lied. She burned the house down and handed me the matchbox like it was a gift. So the paperwork started. A few days later, I texted Ashley. I started the divorce process. You'll be served soon. Let me know if you want to avoid court and do this cleanly. She took 6 hours to respond. And then, wow, that was fast. Followed by, I thought maybe we'd talk first. Oh, now she wanted to talk. I agreed to meet in public, neutral ground. I didn't trust myself to be alone with her in a room. Not because I'd do anything, but because I didn't want to see her up close again. I didn't want to hear her perfume or hear her try to guilt-trip me with that wounded tone she always used when caught. We met at a small cafe near downtown. She showed up late, sunglasses on, iced coffee in hand, like she was walking off the set of a breakup montage. She slid into the seat across from me and said, "So this is really it?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yeah, you made sure of that." She sighed, as if she was the one being burdened. "You really going to throw everything away because of one mistake?" I blinked. It wasn't one mistake. It was months of deception, of you coming home to me after being in someone else's bed. Don't rewrite this like it was an accident. She got defensive. I wasn't happy. You weren't there for me emotionally. I needed more. Then leave. You leave. You don't lie, cheat, and gaslight your way through it. That's when she changed tactics. She got quiet, looked at her hands. He's not what I thought. He's kind of immature. I don't even think I want to be with him now. I stared at her. Not my problem. She looked up, surprised maybe, like she thought I'd jump at the chance to fix this now that the shiny new toy had lost its appeal. She tried again. I'm not saying I want to get back together. I didn't think you'd give up so easily. That's when I laughed hard. You think I gave up? You gave up the second you crawled into his bed and then looked me in the eye and lied about it. Every day after that, you were the one giving up. You just didn't have the guts to admit it. She didn't respond, just looked away, embarrassed or exposed, I don't know which. Maybe both. I stood up. Good luck with him, or whoever's next. I'm done carrying this. And I walked out. Did it hurt? Yeah. But it also felt like the first real breath I'd taken in weeks. You'd think after everything, the affair, the confrontation, that cafe scene, that would be the end of it, right? Wrong. Because with Ashley, nothing is ever that simple. Lying isn't just something she does when she's caught, it's her default operating mode. 2 days after our meeting at the cafe, I started getting texts from mutual friends, people I hadn't even looped in about the details of the split yet. Messages like, "Hey man, sorry to hear about the divorce. There's anything I can do? Didn't realize you and Ash were having problems. She said you'd been distant for a while. She told us you cheated. What the F?" Yeah, you heard that right. She told people I cheated. Not everyone, but just enough for it to start echoing, like she'd selectively leaked the curated version of the story where she was the emotionally neglected wife, and I was the cold, checked-out husband who might have been seeing someone. I even had one of her friends, someone I used to think was decent, message me with this smug little tone like, "Honestly, I'm not surprised. You two seem disconnected for a long time. Ashley deserves to be happy." Like my pain was just collateral damage. I didn't respond to most of them. I just forwarded the text from the guy she cheated with, the one that said, "I still smell you on me," to a select few people, along with a polite message that said, "Just so the record's clear. No rant, no name-calling, just truth." And slowly, the tide started turning. One of her old college friends, Becca, reached out. We weren't close, but she always struck me as someone who saw through bullshit. She called me, voice low, and said, "Hey, just wanted to say I believe you. Ashley told me something was going on, but it never added up. And now that I've heard both sides," she trailed off. "Let's just say she's got a pattern." Apparently, this was not Ashley's first game of paint myself the victim so I can jump beds without guilt. Just the first time she got caught so cleanly. But the real kicker? I got a call from the guy. Yep, the dude she cheated with. Blocked number. I normally wouldn't have answered, but curiosity got the better of me. "Is this my name?" "Yeah." "Hey, this is Aaron." Silence. "Ashley's boyfriend?" he said. I didn't say anything. And he said, "I didn't know she was married." I blinked. "What?" "She told me she was separated, said you two were just living together for financial reasons." I couldn't believe it. The audacity. "So when she was sneaking out of my house to come home to her husband, you just assumed, what, she was crashing on my couch?" He got quiet. I feel like an idiot. I didn't gloat. Honestly, I almost felt bad for him. Almost. But then he added, "I ended it. Last week, she freaked out, started texting me nonstop, calling me at night, even showed up at my place once." "Sounds familiar," I said. He laughed, bitter. Guess we both learned the hard way. After that call, everything felt clearer. Like all the remaining fog had burned off. She was spiraling. She'd lost us both, and she was scrambling for control, first with lies, then with manipulation, now with desperation. But none of it mattered anymore, because for the first time in years, I felt free.
After that call with Aaron, the guy she cheated on me with, who had also been lied to, something in me finally snapped into place. Not in a violent or angry way, in a peaceful way. Like my brain finally accepted what my heart had been dragging its feet on. This woman didn't just betray me, she never deserved me. I stopped wondering why she did it. I stopped rereading old texts, trying to find the moment things changed. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped caring. That was the real turning point. You want to know what freedom feels like? It's waking up and realizing you didn't think about her at all the night before. It's smiling when you remember a memory, not because you miss her, but because you know you'll never be that blind again. It's eating a meal you used to share and not tasting regret in every bite. I started running again. I picked up my guitar for the first time in months. I texted old friends I hadn't talked to in years. Just said, "Hey, want to grab a beer?" Turns out people are more willing to show up than you think once you let them in. I even started going to therapy, just once a week at first. My therapist, shout out to Greg, legend of a man, helped me realize something I hadn't admitted. I had lost myself in that relationship long before the cheating. I'd bent over backwards to keep her happy, let her steamroll me, manipulate conversations, twist everything into her narrative. I made excuses for her controlling behavior, for the way she always needed to be the smartest, loudest, most right person in every room. And the truth? I was never truly seen in that marriage. I was just useful. Financially, emotionally, socially. I made her life easier, while she slowly sucked the energy out of mine. And now I was reclaiming that energy. One morning, a few weeks after the divorce process had begun, I stood in front of the mirror and just stared at myself. Looked different, lighter, stronger. I whispered out loud, "You made it out." That was the day I cleared out the last of my things from the house. Ashley wasn't there. She'd been texting off and on, mostly short, passive-aggressive lines like, "Any updates on the paperwork?" or "Please don't take the coffee table, it was mine first." But I ignored all of it. I walked into that house one last time, box in hand, and packed up what little of me was left there. My books, my records, my old hoodie she used to steal. I left her notes, her photos, her wine glasses. I didn't want any of it. Before I left, I stood in the living room, the one where we watched movies, had dinners, argued, laughed, lied. And I whispered something else.
About a month after I walked out of that house for the last time, I figured I'd heard the last of Ashley. I was wrong. It was a Friday. I was finally feeling like I had some momentum, had gotten a new apartment, settled in, started sleeping through the night again without dreaming about her voice or the sound of her heels clicking in the hallway. I'd even gone on a few casual dates. Nothing serious, just enough to remind myself I wasn't broken or unlovable. Then I got the email. Subject line, "Can we please talk?" I stared at it for a while. Debated deleting it without an opening. But of course, I clicked. The body of the message was classic, Ashley. "I know I've hurt you. I know I did awful things. I'm not trying to fix the past, but I just want to explain. Please, one conversation. That's all I'm asking. Not to get back together, just to clear the air. I owe you that." She always did this. Wrapped manipulation in silk. Made it sound reasonable, even generous. I almost deleted it again. But then I had a thought. What if this time I end it on my terms? No yelling, no emotions, just a clean finish. I agreed to meet. Public place again, different cafe. She showed up, looking different. A little more pale, a little less polished. The fake confidence was cracked, and the first words out of her mouth were, "You don't have to forgive me. I just want you to know I hate how I handled everything." I nodded. Let her talk. She went on about how her relationship with Aaron imploded the second I left. That he turned cold, stopped answering, started dating someone else 2 weeks later. Apparently he blocked her on everything. Then she hit me with, "I think I was having some kind of breakdown, honestly. I felt trapped. I thought cheating would give me power or freedom or, I don't know. I was stupid." I didn't respond. She searched my face. "You don't have anything to say?" "No. I think you said everything when you were lying to me every day." She nodded. "I guess I deserved that." Then came the real reason for the meeting. She said she was struggling financially now, that the rent was higher on her own and she was behind on credit cards, that she never realized how much I handled, how stable I made things. And then, "Would you ever consider helping me? Just for a little while, not as a husband, just as someone who used to care?" I leaned back. "You want financial support from the man you cheated on, lied to, humiliated, and then blamed?" She didn't answer. "Ashley," I said, "you burned every bridge, and now you want to charge me a toll to cross the ashes." Her mouth opened like she had a comeback, but nothing came out. I stood up, dropped a $10 on the table to cover my coffee, and said, "Good luck, Ashley. You're gonna need it." I walked out, and this time I didn't look back. Didn't feel guilty. Didn't feel sad. I felt done. Like I had just closed the book. I should have stopped reading years ago.
After that final conversation, it was like someone severed the last thread tying her to my life. I didn't get another message, no just checking in texts, no surprise voicemails, no Instagram thirst traps mysteriously aimed in my direction, just silence.
And for the first time since the day I found that text on her phone, I was grateful for it. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. No drama, no fight over property. She backed off completely, maybe because she realized she had no leverage left. Maybe because she knew I'd finally become the one thing she couldn't manipulate: indifference. And let me tell you something, there's a power in indifference. It's not the same as hate. Hate still costs you energy. Indifference? That's peace. So, I started rebuilding. Got a new bed, new dishes, bought furniture that didn't come with memories. Every piece I picked out felt like reclaiming a part of myself. No more compromising on stuff just to keep her from rolling her eyes. I started cooking again. Nothing fancy, just things I liked, without her commentary about carbs or portion sizes or whether I was trying to gain weight. Yes, she used to say that, casually cruel, like she was joking. I also started talking to people again, really talking. Friends, co-workers, my brother, who I'd unintentionally distanced myself from during the marriage. I realized how much I had retreated into that relationship, how isolated I'd become, trying to keep things afloat while she kept drilling holes in the damn boat. But now, I was floating. Not rushing into anything romantic, but I did go on a few dates. Casual, light, honest, no lies, no games, just two people trying to enjoy each other's company without turning it into a performance. One of them, a woman named Rachel, asked me at the end of the night, "So, what do you want next?" Like, really? And for the first time in years, I had an answer. I want peace, honesty, and to never again second-guess my gut for someone else's convenience. She smiled. That's a pretty good start. And it was. I still had bad days. I still had the occasional 2 a.m. memory sneak through and sting. But they didn't break me anymore. They didn't own me. They were just that, memories. And I'd made peace with the fact that some scars were going to stick around. But scars mean you healed. And me? I was healing.
It's strange how betrayal rewires you. Not in a not trust no one ever again kind of way, though I'd admit I flirted with that mindset early on. But over time, the lessons started settling in. Not as bitterness, but as boundaries, as non-negotiables I'll never ignore again. Because looking back now, I see it all. The red flags, the manipulation disguised as honesty, the way she'd twist every disagreement into something I did wrong. How she weaponized silence, used guilt like a scalpel, and made me feel small for having needs. So here it is, the short list I've been building in my head ever since. 1. If something feels off, it is. Gut feelings are never just drama. They're instinct, sharpened by experience. I knew something was wrong before I ever saw that text. I knew it in the way she smiled at her phone and frowned at me. And I gaslit myself into silence. Never again. 2. Lying isn't just the words, it's the avoidance, the deflection, the emotional absence. Ashley didn't just lie with her mouth. She lied with every, "I'm just tired," every, "you're overthinking," every time she turned a confrontation into an accusation. Gaslighting is quiet until it becomes deafening. 3. Love shouldn't feel like a performance. I spent so long trying to earn affection from someone who gave it out and measured doses, like a ration. I'm not doing that again. The next person I commit to, they'll get all of me, and I'll expect the same. No more half-truths, no more silent punishments, no more competing with their phone for attention. 4. Never settle for someone who makes you feel boring, stagnant, replaceable. I thought that was just normal after a while, like that's what real relationships became. But now I know, love doesn't belittle, it builds. 5. Cheating isn't about sex, it's about entitlement. She didn't cheat because she felt unloved. She cheated because she wanted to and thought she could get away with it. She wanted the comfort of home and the thrill of danger, and she didn't care who paid the price, as long as it wasn't her. I'm not perfect. I wasn't a perfect husband. I can own that. But nothing justifies the level of cruelty she brought into our home. And I will never again apologize for expecting loyalty, honesty, and respect. Now, I know what I deserve. And more importantly, I know what I'll never tolerate again.
If you're listening to this because you're in it right now, because you've got that gut feeling, that pit in your stomach, that slow, creeping fear that something's wrong in your relationship, let me say something to you directly. You're not crazy. That's the first thing they try to make you believe, that you're imagining things, overreacting, making drama, but your instincts, they're speaking to you for a reason. Listen to them. Trust them. If I could go back and talk to the me from a year ago, I'd grab him by the shoulders and say, pay attention. Stop trying to explain away the feeling that something's not right. You're not paranoid, you're perceptive. So here's some real-world advice from someone who lived it, ate it, bled through it. 1. Keep receipts. Document everything. If you suspect cheating, don't go in guns blazing with just your gut, because when you're dealing with a manipulator, they'll flip that on you and make you the villain. Keep screenshots, write down dates, keep calm. You're going to need your sanity and your evidence. 2. Don't wait for an apology to move on. You might never get one. Or if you do, it'll be fake, self-serving, or a setup for another lie. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. The day you decide their lies no longer get a seat at your table. 3. Tell someone. Isolation is their playground. Tell a friend, a sibling, a therapist, anyone you trust. Once you start speaking it out loud, the fog starts to lift. You'll be shocked how much support is there when you let people in. 4. Don't try to win them back. You're not in a competition. You're not in a Netflix drama. If someone cheats on you, lies to you, and gaslights you, the last thing you owe them is effort. Love doesn't need to be earned back. Loyalty is the bare minimum. You will heal. You will laugh again. You will trust again. Right now, it might feel like the world's crumbling, like no one will ever understand the hole in your chest or the weight on your back. But I promise, you will climb out of it, day by day, choice by choice. And you'll be stronger, not because they broke you, but because you survived them. Cheating doesn't say anything about you. It says everything about them. So if you're there, in the middle of it, I'm not going to feed you some Hallmark line about how everything happens for a reason. What I will say is this. Sometimes the worst day of your life is the day you get your life back.
When it first happened, when I saw that text on her phone, when I followed her to his house, when I watched her walk out there 3 hours later with her hair tousled and no shame in her step, I genuinely thought it would destroy me. And for a while, it did. I lost sleep. I lost appetite. I lost faith in people. I lost the version of myself that believed in forever. And I grieved like I'd buried someone. Because I had. The woman I thought I married never existed. But here's what I didn't expect. I didn't just lose someone. I shed someone. Like dead weight. Because now, months later, divorce finalized, new apartment, peace in my chest where rage used to live. I see it clearly. She didn't break me. She freed me. Freed me from the manipulation, from the gaslighting, from the emotional tightrope I walked every day trying to keep her happy while slowly erasing myself. I look in the mirror now and actually recognize the guy looking back. I laugh without guilt. I say no without flinching. I don't tiptoe around moods. I don't accept crumbs and call it a feast. I'm not healing because I found someone new. I'm healing because I found me again. And that's the greatest revenge of all. Because Ashley, she's stuck. Still cycling through half-truths and shallow validation. Still trying to spin stories that make her the heroine in a plot she poisoned. Me? I got peace. I've got self-respect. I've got truth. And if I had to go through all that hell to get here, then I'll say it. Thank you, Ashley. Not for loving me, because you never really did, but for leaving, for showing me exactly who you are, so I could finally remember who I am. And to anyone listening this, anyone still in the middle of it, you'll get there too. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually you'll wake up and realize that the person who shattered you actually did you a favor. To cut the cord you were too loyal to sever. And when you look back, after the storm, after the pain, after the growth, you'll smile not because it happened, but because you made it out. Alive, stronger, unbreakable.
Thanks for following this journey with me, Reddit. This was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and it became the best thing that ever happened to me. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and most importantly, never apologize for walking away from someone who was willing to lose you.